Hello, friends. I was supposed to be out for the weekend. In fact, I had promised my wife, but you can't drop SearchGPT on me and not get some commentary. Although I am releasing this one, at least initially, just to Super Intelligent. But what I wanted to do is 5 observations about SearchGPT with one little bonus. And I'm doing this on Loom, so there will be no editing. We're just going to ramble through it. Observation 1 is something I've long thought was the case. LLM competition was always about search, to the extent that search isn't really about searching for things, but is about our mediating experience of the internet. So what I mean by that is that for the last 20 years, when you go to the internet, your default experience is, in so many cases, Google, right? That's really what Google search owns. Anytime you have a question, you Google it, right? When we look at old media, old movies, old TV, we can't imagine a world where we couldn't just Google it, right? Search, or ChatGPT rather, has always felt like it was playing in that same space, even though it was doing a bunch of other things as well. It felt like, especially from the moment that they added web search to it, that was really the territory that they were trying to grab and carve out or create something new for, right? So it was always going to come down to search competition. But number 2, second observation, is based on just what we're seeing evolve and transpire, which is that it feels like, to some extent, it's inevitable at this point that search is going to be a combination of hybrid answers and sources, right? Right now, search is basically just about sources. Search gives you the places to look for the answers to your questions. That's what Google's blue links are. Next, what comes up is search actually answering questions in a more complete way right up front, right? That's what Google's search analysis that they're trying to do is. That's certainly what Perplexity is trying to do, which we'll come back to in a minute. And it feels like, at least for now, the big labs are all making bets that the future of search is this hybrid answers plus sources experience. It's not impossible that the market proves them wrong, but there is a pretty significant agreement across these different competitors that the future of search really does look a little bit different than what the current of search looks like. Number 3, third observation, at first glance, and I think anyone who uses Perplexity will feel this, Perplexity absolutely crushes what this demo or sort of prototype version of SearchGPT is. Perplexity is a big, rich, robust product that already has so much going for it. This is an example of a page I created the other day because my wife and I were working on her true crime podcast, which is a show about, basically she was trying to figure out a show about horror movies set during the summer, and Perplexity just absolutely nailed this question. And I was able to turn it into a page which effectively was like Wikipedia all in one, but it took me 2 seconds to curate, right? So it's undeniable at this point that Perplexity is way out ahead on product. But the question is whether it will actually ultimately matter. I thought there was a really interesting quote from Danielle Figella, who said on CNBC today, "In the near term, I suspect Google has time to fight back, but I suspect we're going to see Perplexity hit hard. How will startups compete with search plus citations when the big guys jump in the same game?" Basically, Daniel's argument, which I think a lot of people have wondered about with Perplexity, is whether UI UX is enough of a moat, right? Can they build an experience that is so much better that people won't just default to what they're already using, which is just Google in many cases, or now a bridge over from ChatGPT. Now, observation 4 about this is that it's really interesting and notable to me that OpenAI is turning something that has previously been a weakness, which is their antagonistic relationship with publishers, into a strength, right? Even though OpenAI has a bunch of open lawsuits right now with the New York Times and other publishers, they've also been cutting deals left and right. And in fact, it's a big part of their announcement post that this is SearchGPT is in partnership with publishers and creators. They write, "We're committed to a thriving ecosystem of publishers and creators. We hope to help users discover publishers' sites and experiences while bringing more choice to search." So basically, they're trying to position themselves as the heir apparent to Google, right? Google search had a agreement effectively with publishers that through their approach to indexing everything going on a publisher's site, they would push results to them. That created the entire SEO industry. It basically created the entire architecture structure of the internet as we know it. And people have wondered if that's going to get broken in this era. Well, OpenAI is saying no, it's not, and we've got a new approach to it. But it's very clear that they're pushing this angle. And I don't just think it's because of some, big belief, although that may be part of it as well. I think it's also very strategic. It's notable to me that this comes just a couple days after Condé Nast sent a cease and desist letter to Perplexity accusing it of plagiarism. Basically, OpenAI is using the publisher card as an advantage right now relative to a competitor, which is out ahead of it, at least in terms of user experience, but perhaps is behind it when it comes to legal wranglings, and certainly is less well capitalized to go after or fight those legal battles, even though Perplexity has not raised an insignificant amount of money. Fifth observation, which comes from just sort of or as a bridge from that same one, I think that this publisher tie-up thing, although it is likely a pretty successful strategy for OpenAI to the extent that these lawsuits and cease and desist letters actually go anywhere when it comes to Perplexity, it also dramatizes, I think, for a lot of people, or is going to dramatize, the broader concern that folks have around the gateway to knowledge being controlled by a small number of closed companies, right? Part of why AI has such big emotions around it is that if it is as powerful as it appears to be, and if it reinvents the way that we interact with the internet, well, then the way that the answers are presented could have a dramatic and outsized impact on how people understand truth, how people think about the world around them. And when it comes to this publisher tie-up, some people basically say that this is another reason why you don't just want a closed source company being at the winner's table, right? Carlo here on Twitter says, cool, so SearchGPT is only going to spit out Empire-approved answers, basically referring to the company's emphasis on the fact that they're developing this in collaboration with the Wall Street Journal, the Associated Press, and Vox Media. So I wonder to what extent we'll see this become more of a concern because of SearchGPT, that search basically dramatizes the concerns that people already have with OpenAI. Could remain a fringe concern, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see it move a little bit more into the mainstream. Now, finally, the bonus, after those 5 observations, when Sam Altman posted this, a lot of people's response was basically, look, you're sharing another product that's on a wait list before we've even gotten the last product that we wanted on a wait list, which is voice, right? People have been upset that they did not get the voice that was in those demos from a couple months ago. And when someone asked that, Sam actually responded. This was on the same announcement thread. Someone said, when are we getting voice? And Altman said, alpha rollout starts to plus subscribers next week. That is a specific date. That's more than we've had before. So even if you don't think SearchGPT is going to be a thing, if you are excited about voice, it appears to be on its way. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of whatever the hell this is. 5 observations about SearchGPT within a couple hours of it coming out. Hope you are having a great weekend. Hope you are enjoying the super intelligent platform if you're here, and I will talk to you soon.